Rachel Reeves, the UK's new Chancellor, has just delivered a budget that will define the early years of this Labour government. Her first major act in office, this budget is being watched closely, not just by politicians, but by millions of ordinary Britons whose lives will be directly affected by her decisions. On November 26, 2025, she unveiled sweeping financial decisions that have shaken the political and economic landscape. The country is now facing a new direction, with policies that signal a clear departure from the past decade. Reeves' budget is ambitious and controversial, marking a sharp break from the previous Conservative administration. It's a statement of intent, setting out Labour's priorities and vision for the future. The central pillar, a substantial increase in taxes, which she claims is essential to stabilize public finances and fund critical services. Reeves argues that only by raising more revenue can the government invest in the NHS, education, and infrastructure. This move has ignited fierce debate, with critics calling it a return to tax and spend policies that could stifle enterprise. Supporters, however, say it's a necessary step to repair years of underfunding and neglect. The budget's most symbolic change, scrapping the two-child benefit cap, a move hailed by some as moral and condemned by others as costly. This policy shift is expected to impact thousands of families across the country, reigniting debates about social justice and fiscal responsibility. We'll break down Reeves' bold tax moves, the core criticisms, and the powerful forces shaping this pivotal UK budget. From the halls of Westminster to the streets of Britain, reactions are pouring in. By examining forecasts, opposition arguments, and market reactions, we'll reveal why this is one of the most significant budgets in recent memory, and what it could mean for the future of the UK.
The headline from Reeves's budget is clear. Taxes are going up, and not by a small amount. The government is raising an additional $26 billion, on top of a previous $40 billion hike just last year. For many, this signals a significant shift in the country's fiscal direction, with households and businesses bracing for the impact of higher tax bills. The Resolution Foundation, a leading think tank, calls this the largest tax rise by a new government since World War II. It's a move that's being closely watched by economists and policy experts across the country. Critics, especially the Conservatives, argue these hikes are designed to fund a major expansion of welfare, taking more from working people to pay for increased benefits. They warn that this could discourage hard work and innovation, and place an extra burden on families already struggling with the cost of living. Reeves and her supporters, however, insist the tax rises are necessary, forced by a worsening economic outlook and downgraded growth forecasts from the Office for Budget Responsibility. They argue that without these measures, the country would face even tougher choices down the line. The government frames this as responsible stewardship, making tough decisions now to protect the NHS, schools, and vital public services that millions rely on every day. At stake are two competing visions for Britain's future. One sees a government penalising aspiration and success, while the other sees honest choices to repair public services and support the vulnerable, especially in challenging times.
The decision to raise taxes and increase welfare spending has drawn a sharp dividing line in British politics, setting the stage for fierce debate in Parliament and beyond. This clash of principles will dominate public debate in the months ahead, as households across the country begin to feel the impact of these changes in their daily lives. The real-world effects of these policies are only just beginning to be felt, and the true consequences, both positive and negative, will unfold in the years to come.
A major controversy has erupted over the government's decision to scrap the two-child limit on child benefit payments, a move that has sparked intense debate across the country and within Parliament.
Introduced by the Conservatives, the cap limited benefits to the first two children in a family, aiming to cut the welfare bill, and, as they argued, to align benefit recipients with working families who often make similar choices due to financial constraints.
Labour and charities fiercely opposed it from the start, calling it a driver of child poverty and a policy that unfairly penalised larger families, especially those already struggling to make ends meet.
Rachel Reeves called the policy pernicious, arguing passionately that no child should be punished for their birth order or for circumstances beyond their control, and that every child deserves equal support from the state. Removing the cap fulfills a key Labour promise, and is seen as a victory for campaigners, but it comes with a hefty price tag. Billions added to the welfare budget, raising questions about how this will be funded in the long term. Critics argue this proves taxes are rising to fund welfare expansion, not just to fix public finances, and warn of the impact on middle-income families already feeling the squeeze.
The Conservatives frame this as Labour taking from hard-working families to give to others, fueling a wider debate about fairness, responsibility, and the role of government in supporting families.
Even Reform UK, who previously opposed the cap, now face a dilemma. Should they support what they see as fairness for children, or stick to their low-tax stance and risk alienating some voters?
This single policy forces all parties to clarify their stance, exposing deep divisions and prompting new questions about priorities in British politics. The debate continues, highlighting the complex relationship between taxation, welfare, and family support in the UK's ever-evolving social landscape.
To understand Reeves's choices, look at the economic context. The OBR's forecasts set the stage. The OBR downgraded the UK's long-term productivity growth, meaning less tax revenue and a sudden black hole in public finances. Reeves faced a scenario where, without action, government debt would spiral, breaking her own fiscal rules. Welfare spending was already set to rise, partly due to a Labour U-turn on disability benefits after a party rebellion. The Chancellor argued she had little room to manoeuvre. "I have to operate within the forecasts I'm presented with." The government claims it's not ideology, but fiscal responsibility, responding to the numbers, not political desires.
The OBR's projections forced Reeves's hand, making tax rises and increased welfare spending unavoidable. The government's defense tough choices now to keep the country's finances sustainable. The debate, are these necessary steps, or just old-fashioned tax and spend? The answer depends on which numbers and which values you believe.
Opposition parties responded with fierce criticism.
Conservatives accused Reeves of taking from hard-working people to fund uncontrolled welfare spending.
They called it a betrayal of working families and a return to failed tax and spend policies.
Scrapping the two-child cap became their prime example of Labour's priorities.
Reform UK joined in, attacking both main parties for high taxes and failing services.
For them, this budget is just more of the same, a bigger state, higher taxes.
The opposition's message is simple and emotive, resonating with voters worried about the cost of living.
The government is under pressure, forced to defend complex economic decisions against a powerful, simple narrative. The political battle is about trust, priorities, and two starkly different visions for the UK's future.
By combining these arguments, Reeves aims to build broad support for her difficult choices. She frames them as both economically necessary and morally right. Her dual message, fiscal responsibility and social justice, is designed to reassure markets and rally her party's base. She argues that reducing child poverty will save money in the long run by creating a healthier, more productive generation. On welfare, Reeves shifts to a moral argument. Scrapping the two-child cap is about ending child poverty and investing in the country's future. She contrasts her approach with the chaos of the 2022 mini-budget, presenting herself as a steady, pragmatic leader. The OBR's grim forecasts left her no alternative but to raise revenue and prevent a debt crisis. Reeves has mounted a robust defense. Her choices were driven by economic necessity, not ideology.
Analysts are digging into the details and raising questions.
Much of the new spending starts soon, but most tax increases are delayed until later in the term.
This fiscal illusion lets the government claim fiscal discipline now, while pushing the pain past the next election.
Will Reeves really follow through with these tax hikes when the time comes?
Economists warn that if the tax rises are delayed or cancelled, the UK's finances could be much weaker than they appear.
Reeves has reassured markets for now, but doubts about long-term credibility remain.
The Chancellor has bought time, but scrutiny from analysts and think tanks will only intensify. The real test, whether the promised pain ever materializes.
The financial market's reaction is a crucial test for any budget.
After Reeves's announcement, markets responded calmly. Yields on government bonds fell, signaling investor relief.
Investors saw the budget as a credible plan to control public finances, even with tough tax rises.
The stability continued, with long-term borrowing costs holding steady.
This calm reception is a major victory for Reeves, showing her respect for fiscal rules paid off.
The positive market reaction strengthens her political position and gives her breathing space.
She can now argue that while critics play politics, the financial community backs her approach.
By reassuring investors, Reeves has passed her first big test, securing stability to pursue her wider agenda. The challenge now turning that stability into lasting economic progress.
Reeves insists tax rises are just the first step. Her real goal is to get the UK economy growing again.
She promises supply-side reforms, new trade deals, and a renewed focus on infrastructure to boost productivity.
The government aims to open new markets, stimulate exports, and unlock private investment in major projects.
Reeves argues these investments will address the very weaknesses the OBR highlighted.
She notes that the OBR's forecasts don't yet reflect the potential impact of these reforms.
Reeves's budget is a defining moment, fiercely criticized as tax and spend, but defended as both necessary and moral. The opposition's message is simple: the government is taking from workers to give to others. Reeves counters that her hand was forced by economic reality and that she's laying the groundwork for future prosperity. The debate over her bold moves is just beginning, and the stakes for Britain's future couldn't be higher.